Guilt doesn't make you productive, it makes you stuck. Most people think guilt is what finally gets them moving, that if they feel bad enough, they'll finally do that thing. But guilt isn't a motivator, it's the thing quietly training your brain to actually avoid work. If you've ever tried to shame yourself into action and watched your motivation collapse instead, nothing is wrong with you. You delay, you feel guilty, you add pressure, and starting gets even harder. That's not laziness, that's a loop. In this video, I'll show you why guilt backfires, what's actually happening in your nervous system, and how to break the guilt, pressure, avoidance loop for good. This isn't a discipline problem, it's a conditioning problem. Most people believe that guilt is useful. If I feel bad enough, I'll finally do it. And to be fair, sometimes guilt does produce action. Once you feel awful, you panic, you sprint, you get the thing done. And that feels like proof that guilt worked. So you keep using it, but here's the hidden cost. Guilt produces action once. Then it destroys your ability to repeat it. Every time you use guilt as fuel, you teach your nervous system that work equals punishment. Guilt isn't neutral, it's a threat signal. When you guilt yourself, you activate self-attack, identity threat, social threat. Your brain doesn't register guilt as motivation. It registers it as danger. So your nervous system shifts into protection mode. And in protection mode, your brain stops asking what's the best long-term move and starts asking what reduces my discomfort right now. Avoidance reduces discomfort, so avoidance wins. Not because you're weak, because your system is prioritizing safety. Here's the loop that so many people live inside. Step 1, you avoid the task. Step 2, you feel guilty. You tell yourself you're behind, lazy, disappointing. Step 3, you add pressure. I have to do this. I'm running out of time. I can't keep being like this. Step 4, starting feels more difficult. The task now carries yesterday's guilt as well as today's pressure. Step 5, you avoid again. Step 6, the loop tightens. Every loop trains your nervous system that work equals threat. Here's why this loop is so convincing. Because sometimes guilt does push you into action, right? You finally panic enough to start. You sprint, you finish, and the relief feels incredible. So your brain draws the wrong conclusion. It thinks to itself, guilt works, but you don't associate guilt with burnout. You associate it with that one time you finally push through. What you don't notice is what it costs you next time. More resistance, more dread, more avoidance. Guilt trains the very thing you're trying to eliminate. This is the cruel paradox. The more guilty you feel, the more pressure you add. The more pressure you add, the more threat your system perceives. The more threat it perceives, the more it tries to protect you. So you escalate again, around and around, more self-talk, more higher stakes, more urgency, and resistance escalates with it. You can't out-discipline a conditioned threat response. And every time you delay, you add more guilt, which strengthens the loop. Here's the reframe that I want you to use to change this. Guilt isn't feedback, it's pressure. It's not information, it's a threat signal. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Ask, what would make starting feel safer right now? That question can change the dynamic. Guilt stops being useful, curiosity becomes useful. This is the foundation of the momentum reset method. We don't try to overpower resistance. We reduce the conditions that are creating it in the first place because safety precedes momentum every time. Here's what actually works. Not shaming yourself, not raising the stakes ever higher, not trying ever harder. 3 simple shifts. First, replace guilt with curiosity. What feels heavy about starting this? What feels difficult about starting this? Second, reduce the task. Shrink it until it feels almost too easy. It's not going to be impressive, but it is going to be safe. Third, add permission. I can stop anytime. You don't need more pressure, do you? You need less threat. Here's your simple reset for when guilt shows up. First, pause. Don't judge it, just notice, I'm feeling guilty. Second, ask, what feels difficult about starting this? Third, reduce. Shrink the task until it feels safe to begin. Fourth, give yourself permission to stop. Ironically, that permission is what makes continuation possible. Permission interrupts the loop. So please hear this. Guilt doesn't make you productive. It makes you stuck. And you're not lazy, you're just overloaded. And overloaded systems don't respond well to pressure. They respond to safety. If this resonated, you might want to watch the companion video, Why You Procrastinate Even When You Care. It's linked up here. And if you want a clear, step-by-step way to break the guilt loop and rebuild momentum without panic or burnout, the Momentum Reset method is linked in the description. I'll leave you with one question. Where have you been trying to guilt yourself into action? You don't need more discipline. You need a system that works with your nervous system.